Welcome, my friends, to another edition of the Wellness Talk podcast. I am George Batista, your host and your wellness advocate. Of course, Wellness Talk is a show that goes over the latest in health, healing, nutrition, fitness, everything we can do naturally to help live longer and happier lives. Hope you guys are doing great. And we've got a really, really great show for you today. Today, we're going to be having a discussion with Ted and Paige Parker. And who are they? For those of you who don't know, they are the owners of Vibrant Health. Now, those of you who listen to the show on a regular basis know that Vibrant Health is one of the partners of this show, and probably one of the best supplement companies on the planet. They manufacture amazing superfoods and plant-based formulas. They've been doing that for a very long time. They actually manufactured the first comprehensive superfood formula. And I think they're the most award-winning supplement company around. So Ted and Paige have a great story. It's a very interesting story, actually, because they went from being consumers of the product to selling the product very successfully, by the way, to eventually one of them working for the company and then owning the company. So we're going to talk about their journey with Vibrant Health and how all that happened. We're also going to talk about their philosophy on health and nutrition and diet. And then we're going to discuss their latest products, which I think are going to revolutionize the supplement industry. So a lot of great stuff there to talk about. It's going to be a very interesting conversation. I think you guys are going to enjoy that. But before that, of course, keeping you in the know, a great article from Wellness Resources, What's Your Cellular Age? How Telomeres and Mitochondria Impact Aging. So remember, I've talked about on this show that I've always said, and a lot of people say, that you have two different ages, right? You have your chronological age and you have your biological age. Well, we're going to talk about your biological aging today. We're going to talk about telomeres, what they are, how they impact your aging, how they impact your mitochondria, and what you can do about it. For those of you who don't know, telomeres are attached to your chromosomes, and they impact how you age, okay? And they actually determine your longevity. So we're going to talk about that specifically, and I think you will really be enlightened by those of you who don't know what telomeres are. You're going to get an education because we're going to do a deep dive on it, and again exactly how you can impact them and just your overall aging process. So again, a lot of great stuff for you. Of course, go to georgebatista.com. Check out all the articles that we have on there. Make sure you read them. Make sure you share them. Like, share, and subscribe. As always, we're on Rumble, the Rumble platform. We're on, all the audio platforms. And, again, do what you can to support the show. If you want to make sure you get all this information in your email box, make sure you sign up for the newsletter. It's right at the front of the website, so make sure you do that as well. And if you want to support the show, just hit the support the show link at the front of the website and you can support the show. And of course, everything you give to the show goes right back into making this premium content for you. All right, guys, so without further ado, let's get started on our main article for this week. All right, so from Wellness Resources, What's Your Cellular Age? How Telomeres and Mitochondria Impact Your Aging. So, for those of you who may feel that stress is really wreaking havoc on your life, and a lot of us feel that way, obviously. Maybe you're getting gray earlier than you think you should be. Maybe you feel like you're aging a little faster, okay? We're going to talk about it today and what could be going on and how you can kind of slow that process down, okay? So we're going to talk about telomeres and cell division. Now, of course, throughout your life, throughout, your everyday life, you have what's called cellular division going on, right? You have things, you have constant turnover of your cells in every part of your body, okay? This is just a normal process. It could be whether you're healing from scrapes and wounds or whatever the case may be, or your intestinal lining, your bones, your hair, your reproductive organs. All these things are constantly turning over. Cells are constantly turning over. And telomeres and mitochondria have a lot to do with it, and it's a very intensive process for your body. Okay. Now, inside your cells, you have what's called a nucleus. Now, we're going back to obviously your high school biology and those types of things. But if you remember, inside your cells you have the nucleus, and in that nucleus you have genes arranged in along a twisted, double-stranded molecules of DNA called chromosomes. Okay, remember chromosomes, right? They studied chromosomes, many years ago. Now, at the end of those chromosomes, you have a cap. That cap is called a telomere, and a lot of people, they compare it to like a shoelace, right? So you have the long shoelace, and at the end of the shoelace, you have that little cap of the shoelace, right? That long little plastic end. And they compare a telomere to that long plastic end. Now, the premise of this is that the length of that plastic end is really what determines your longevity. Okay, so it goes perfectly along with your longevity and your cellular aging. Okay, so that's kind of, in a nutshell, what a telomere is. Now, telomeres play three major roles in health. They help to organize each of your 46 chromosomes, right? They protect the ends of the chromosomes from becoming frayed, entangled, or losing genetic material. And they are also protective of chromosomes during cell division. Again, cell division is what's happening every single day, right? So obviously you want to try to protect these telomeres as best you can, okay? And of course, diet has a lot to do with it, lifestyle, stress, all these types of things. So we're going to talk about tips and how to keep these telomeres from shortening too fast, okay? So let's talk about the causes of telomere shortening. You have factors known to cause it, which include, obviously obesity, insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, okay, unhealthy diet, smoking, sedentary lifestyle, air pollution, all different types of physical, chemical, and emotional stress, everything from even low-grade inflammation that's going on, okay, mitochondrial stress, drugs, you name it. Obviously, the overall unhealthy lifestyle does play an impact on the lengthening or the shortening of your telomeres. Now, let's talk about telomeres and mitochondrial health. So mitochondrial health also impacts telomere length. Things that contribute to mitochondrial dysfunction cause telomere stress. Stressed mitochondria produced increased amounts of reactive oxygen species. We've talked about that on this show many times, right? Lots of oxidative stress. This triggers what's called DNA strand breakage, okay? Increased production of what's called hydrogen peroxide, right? You've heard of that, and pro-inflammatory compounds in cells. And as a result, the telomeres can shorten at a faster rate when you're dealing with all these things on a regular basis. Now, let's talk a little bit about hydrogen peroxide. And when I talk about hydrogen peroxide, most people think of obviously what you use in your home to, to clean off bacteria and those types of things, okay? But hydrogen peroxide is actually produced by mitochondria undergoing oxidative stress. A lot of people don't know that. It's also produced when a lot of vitamin C is taken in on a regular basis, but that's a whole nother discussion, okay? So increased production of hydrogen peroxide and reactive oxygen species from mitochondrial oxidative stress leads to loss of pigment in your hair and other age-related changes. So perhaps if you've noticed, let's say, someone who their hair starts to turn gray very quickly after a period of stress. That's what's going on there, okay? And this natural change reflects increased hydrogen peroxide and reactive oxygen species, free radicals, which affect the telomeres and the mitochondria in the hair follicle, okay? So that's what makes your hair age faster and become gray faster, okay? Again, it's increased oxidative stress and overall oxidation in the hair follicles, which again shortens the telomeres and the mitochondria in the hair follicles. You got to remember, you have mitochondria everywhere in your body, right? Mitochondria are your cellular engines. It's what gives your cells the ability to create energy, to create ATP, and which impacts your aging and on all the cellular levels throughout your whole body. Okay, so there's a whole comprehensive effect that happens here. Okay, so now We also have what's called longevity biomarkers that you have to take a look at. Okay, and I've talked about some of these before. These include grip strength, walking speed, standing balancing tests, okay, speed and the ability to get up from a chair, bone mass, muscle mass, waist circumference, body composition, and systolic blood pressure. All of these are biomarkers for longevity. And I talked about it before with Dr. Zachary, who was on this show, and him and I talked about grip strength and how important grip strength is, how important muscle mass is, okay, and how important in aging, how those are predictors of aging as well, okay, very, very important. Now, other predictors of longevity are also, when you look at going back to the cellular level, going back to oxidative stress, measures like homocysteine, C-reactive protein, A1C, right, what has to do with blood sugar, okay, is that in check for you, okay, lipopolysaccharides, IL-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, ApoE4, all these things that can come up on blood tests, right, that you can test for, that are highly inflammatory. All these things also affect your mitochondria and therefore affect your telomere length and affect how you age. Okay, so the more inflammation you have and the more these things are out of range, the faster you age, pretty much. Okay, children also can be affected by this, right? Children, diet, and telomeres. Okay, there was a recent review article in children and adolescents ages 2 to 18 years that showed the effect of dietary choices and telomere length. The results showed that higher intake of dietary products, simple sugars, sugar-sweetened beverages, cereals, especially white bread, and a diet high in the glycemic load were factors associated with telomere shortening in children. Think about that, okay? A diet with higher consumption of fish, seeds, and nuts, fruits, and vegetables, especially leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, olives, legumes, and the polyunsaturated fatty acids like omega-3s, they're the things that protect telomere length. It's a simple concept, right? Diet in refined sugars and processed foods shorten it. Diet in, fruits and vegetables and omega-3s, all that, lengthen it. Simple concept, okay? So we want to obviously do whatever we can to keep our telomeres in good shape, therefore to help promote longevity, help promote mitochondria, okay? And there are several foods and groups and nutrients that positively impact and protect telomere and mitochondria, okay? Some of these are the omega-3 fatty acids, DHA, EPA, and ALA, okay? Polyphenols and phytochemicals from plants. Again, remember what I talk about plant-based nutrition. Lots of plant-based nutrition is vital for this process because they help to protect it. Okay, plant polyphenols and phytochemicals are made up of different categories such as flavonoids and non-flavonoids. Okay, also things like catechins that you find in apples, barley, cacao, green tea. All that is great. Quercetin that you find in capers, cranberry, chokeberry, onions, and apples, okay? Other things like, the anthocyanins that you find in blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, grapes, cherries, plums, raspberries, strawberries, all these types of things. Also the non-flavonoid groups, so examples such as lignans, okay? All different types of vegetables, bok choy, collard greens, watercress, arugula, mustard, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, okay, whole grains, sesame seeds. And then we have the still beans, which include resveratrol, okay, from grapes, blueberries, raspberries, and mulberries. So, and then, of course, your vitamins and minerals, right? Vitamin A and the carotenoids, okay? The luteins, the zeaxanthin, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, tocopherols, B12, zinc, copper, all these types of things. Every single one of these things that I mentioned can help to keep your telomeres from shortening, okay? And actually, slow down the aging process, which is what you want to do. That at the end of the day, this is what you want to do. This is down to the cellular level. So again, telomeres, the little caps at the end of your chromosomes. Okay, when they shorten faster, it means you are aging faster. Therefore, you are decreasing longevity. It's pretty much that simple. So the lifestyle that you lead is going to determine how fast your telomeres shorten, and therefore how fast you age. It's really that simple, and they've seen this. They've seen this in all different types of studies. They've done a lot of studies on telomeres, and it's pretty much, a very scientific process. Okay, so you really want to do everything you can. So have a fantastic diet, get all your vitamins and minerals in. Make sure you're supplementing as much as possible, whether it's a supplement that that you love, or whatever supplements or the supplements that we talk about on this show, such as Vibrant Health. Vibrant Health again has great, fantastic superfood supplements that are very comprehensive and that you can take. They have tons of probiotics. They have tons of vitamins and minerals. They have tons of the plant-based nutrition. Okay, their supplements are are plant-based supplements, so they work very well, with an active lifestyle and stuff like that. So again, it seems very simple, but it is very doable. Check it out. Telomeres, interesting studies. I'm sure there's going to be much more studies on these things. But at the end of the day, do what you can to keep your telomeres as long as possible. Keep yourself in good shape, and you will be glad you did. And it will help you from aging faster. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right, guys. Without further ado, I want to get to my interview with Ted and Paige Parker. You're really going to enjoy this. You are the owners of Vibrant Health, so check out my interview with Ted and Paige Parker. All right, guys, so I want to welcome my guest today. Today we're going to be talking to the owners of Vibrant Health. Vibrant Health is the company that I've talked about many times on this show. I endorse their products, fantastic products. I've used them for many years, and we're going to be talking to Ted and Paige Parker. And just so you guys know, Ted and Paige purchased Vibrant Health in 2007 as a testament to their shared passion for helping people achieve health and wellness. From there, the company grew exponentially, adding products, retailers, and a robust e-commerce platform. With more than 50 awards to its name, Vibrant Health is today's most award-winning supplement brand. Its products can be found in more than 8,000 stores domestically and in 7 countries. Vibrant Health has been featured on the Black Enterprise list of the nation's 100 largest Black-owned businesses, and has also made the Forbes list of Black-owned businesses to support. And it is my honor to have Ted and Paige Parker on the show today. Thank you so much for being on the show today, guys.
Thank you, George.
Hi, George.
Thanks for having
us. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. It's an honor. And again, I've talked about the products and the company on the show many times, and you've got some amazing formulations there. And I really want to dive into not only just some of the formulations, but also some of the new stuff that you guys have come out recently, which is really incredible, which I'm really, really excited about. But I want to talk a little bit about your journey first, because again, I know you guys purchased the company in 2007, but I want to talk about your journey in health in general. I know that Paige specifically, if I'm correct, you were an entrepreneur before that, right? And you actually had a business, and you were into health and wellness. So talk a little bit about your beginnings in health and wellness and how it led to the Vibrant Health.
Sure. My journey really started in fitness.
Okay.
So I, in my early 20s, I was a part of a big fitness movement and a women's only health club chain called Living Well Lady.
Oh, wow.
And for those out there, we had clubs in the Bronx, we had clubs in Brooklyn, Manhattan.
My wife was a member, by the way.
Okay, all right. And I was the youngest general manager in the company, and I was tasked to do grand openings. And I'd gotten into health and working out much younger when my mom dragged me to take a class with her. And I just felt, when I did my workout, I felt new, I felt renewed, I felt energized. And I said, there's something to this. And
Yeah.
so I started working out regularly. Then I found that I started working part time in the health club. I met a manager who then started working for Living Well Lady, who had recruited me later on. And I started to just open clubs for them throughout the tri state area. Now, behind the scenes, I've been dealing with an illness called Candida,
Mm.
which is
Yeah.
yeast overgrowth.
Right.
And George, no matter what I did, no matter what specialist I went to see, I would get temporary relief and then I'd have flare ups. And for those of your audience who have dealt with or know anything about Candida, it has far reaching symptoms, physical, mental, emotional, skin, energy, brain fog. And as a woman, we had vaginal problems. That
Yeah.
was the
Sure.
root of it.
Sure.
So, out of sheer frustration, I went to see a naturopathic doctor, and she put me on 35 different supplements
Wow.
and an anti-candida diet, which you would call now as an elimination diet.
Right.
The only place that I could find the food that I could eat was in a health food store. So, having spent a lot of time and a lot of money in health food stores, I had decided to myself, I need to open up my own store. This is getting too
Okay.
expensive, right?
Sure.
So,
Sure.
yeah, at the time I was working for Citibank, and I found a location in a mall in Mohegan Lakes, New York.
Hmm.
And I started to do my research. I started writing a business plan. And it was at that time that I met Ted.
Okay.
And Ted encouraged me to, you know, go after my dream. He helped finish writing the business plan with me, and we went to get a loan from the through the SBA, Small Business Administration, to finance the startup of this store called Mohegan Naturals.
Hmm.
Um,
But I had one requirement.
yes, his one requirement was you have to bring in this product called Green Vibrance.
Wow.
Green
Wow.
Vibrance changed my life, he said. It saved my life. And so we opened the store, we brought Green Vibrance in and a few other SKUs from the Vibrant Health brand and would sell it every weekend. Ted would set up a little table, demo table, and have folks, try out the product. And by and large, every other person left with a bottle of Green Vibrance. And we quickly became that brand's top retailer
Wow.
in very short order.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That,
And
that,
then we were engaged to get married. Unfortunately,
I got
my
downsized.
brilliant husband got downsized, but I
oh,
married
okay.
anyway.
Okay.
And we went on our honeymoon, and it was right around that time, George, that the Natural Product Expo in Baltimore was coming up. And I said, Ted, you've been at the computer diligently looking for a job. Take a break. Come with me to Natural Product Expo. So we drove
We
up
should
to
pause there, though.
yeah.
Yeah, because we should probably explain to George how I got introduced to Green Vibrance.
Yes.
Yeah, and
So,
that's what I'm curious about, because I wanted to know what
yeah,
exactly was it about Green Vibrance that attracted you to it? Because I mean, I don't know at that time how many of those types of supplements are out. I mean, supplements have been around for a long time, but
yeah.
how many of them were that comprehensive? Did you look at it and say, just, oh my God, it's a ton of ingredients in here, I'm going to take this? Or what was it that led you to taking it in the first place?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It really boiled down to me, the structure function statement. And
Right.
so let me back up and tell you that when I was working in corporate America before I got downsized, well, I met Paige and she married me anyway, I was dealing with my own health issues, and it really was stemming from a poor diet. At that time, I mean, we're talking about the mid 90s, right? Mid to late 90s. I'm eating hot dogs off of hot dog stands for lunch. Breakfast was a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich on a roll.
Right.
Dinner was hamburger, french fries, whatever. Then I'd go out, hang out at nightclubs and party. I mean, and that was a cyclical thing. It was right after college, and it was kind of like hanging out with my friends. I thought I could burn the candle at both ends. and no one really can. Not for long term. You're going to suffer at some point. Your
Yeah.
body
Yeah.
cannot handle
Mhm.
a lack of nutrients. Nutrient deficiencies will lead to problems.
Yeah.
And it did for me. It was beginning with lactose intolerance. Then I had, I know you dealt with bronchitis. I dealt with a respiratory issue that lasted for about a month.
Wow.
And I remember getting sick seasonally, George. Like every quarter, I would be sick,
Yep.
and you just common cold stuff, flu, virus or whatever, coughing, sneezing
But things that would
constantly.
hang around for a long time.
No, but one time the respiratory infection, this Paige is right. This one time lasted a month, and I was coughing for a month. And I remember one of my coworkers coming to me and asking me, "Are you sick again?" And I remember that vividly, and it was embarrassing to me. It
Sure.
really was embarrassing that I wasn't taking good care of my health, and other people were noticing. So I decided then, I was like, that's it. I was very big into going to Barnes and Noble at the time, and going to the
Mhm.
self help section, finding
Yep.
books, and I read a few books on nutrition, and then I decided to go to my closest natural market, which was by me, and I spent literally a good 2 hours in there, just as if I were in Barnes and Noble in that self help section. I was now in the self help section of a natural market, looking at the vitamins, reading the structure function statements, and it was the structure function statement on the front of the bottle that spoke to me. It
Okay.
said, and I remember it vividly. It said green vibrance, supporting nutrition, digestion, circulation, and immunity.
Yep.
And I said to myself, well, you're eating hot dogs off a hot dog stand, so your nutrition is poor,
Right.
clearly, right? Digestion, you're lactose intolerant, so obviously your digestion is poor. Circulation, at that time I was having heart palpitations because I wasn't working out and my heart wasn't running. So I attributed that to my heart palpitations. And then obviously I'm getting sick quarterly, so my immune system is not strong at all. So that spoke to me, and I said, "All right, I'm going to give it a try." I started taking the product, and in short order, my lactose intolerance went away. I was like, "Okay." I noticed that immediately, and then after taking it for a couple of weeks, and I didn't mix it with orange juice at first because it was green, and I wasn't used to eating greens and stuff like
Right.
that. But then after a month or two, my energy levels were really good. I noticed that after 3 months, I hadn't gotten sick. After 6 months, I hadn't gotten sick. Literally, Georgia had gone a couple of years, and ultimately, I'd gone 10 years without a cold. But
Wow.
after every year that went by, I would become more of an evangelist for the brand and the products, and I would tell everyone I knew. And it got to the point where my friends would see me coming, and they would be with another group of friends, and they'd be like, "Oh God, here comes Ted. By the way, he's going to talk to you about this product called Greenvine. Oh, he's crazy about it." I mean, it was like
Everybody was on it.
everybody was on it.
Mhm.
So that was kind of, and then when fast forward to when Paige and I met and asked her to bring it in the store again, that's what we sold, and quickly became a Vibrant Health #1 retailer. But at the time, I had gotten downsized from my job at corporate America. I was working for Scholastic at that time.
Mhm.
And I got downsized, and I was looking for a job. And Paige was like, "Hey, why don't you come to the trade show with me? It's time to buy products, and they have really great deals there. So take a break from looking for a job and come with me to the show."
Yeah, so we just had returned from our honeymoon, and we drove out to Baltimore. And George, I'm not sure if you've ever been to one of these trade shows
Mhm.
in a convention center, but
Yeah.
you could easily do 20 to 25,000 steps, right,
Yes.
a day. So of course we
Absolutely.
weren't measuring it back then, but
Right.
day one, up and down the aisles, day two, and by day three, Ted was exhausted.
Wow.
That was
And
my feet,
his,
really.
his feet, he was
It's like,
like,
I'm not even
"Wait,"
walking.
he said, "My dogs are killing me.
Yeah.
I have to sit down. You go ahead and do this last aisle, and I'll be right here when you're done." So we look down, George, and 3 booths in, we see Vibrant Health.
Okay.
We're elated.
Wow.
We're like,
Wow.
"Vibrant Health." And we run to the table, and behind the desk were 2 people, Mark Timon, Debbie Timon, said general manager and what have you. And they see our lanyard, Paige Parker, Mohegan Naturals, Ted
Mhm.
Parker. It's like Kismet, everybody's hugging. Oh my gosh, because there was no FaceTime back then. There were no
Right.
Zoom calls, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we finally get to meet each other in person, put a face behind the voice, and it really was an instant attraction and respect and admiration all around. So as we're chatting with them, we say, they want to know what the secret is. Why are we so successful? I said, well, Ted loves Green Vibrance and he sells it to everyone and anyone who listen to his spiel, and he should go ahead and give it to you.
And everyone who doesn't want to listen.
And even if you don't want to listen to it, you're going to hear it. And so I said, Ted, give Mark your sales pitch.
Mhm.
And he did. Everybody was laughing. And it finally dawned on us, and Ted particularly, he said, Mark, can I ask you a question? He said, this is a big company. How come
So we thought at the time.
Right. How
Right.
come you're at a trade show? Like,
Mm.
don't you have a sales manager? Don't you have a sales rep, someone that would manage the show for you? And Mark said, believe it or not,
My director of sales
I had a director,
and left.
general manager, but he left very recently because he'd come into a big inheritance. And
Okay.
thus, here we are. So
Wow.
I will tell you, George, if there's anything that you know about us, our lives and all the things that have happened to us have been through serendipity.
Yeah.
Like, there are no mistakes.
I agree.
So we're like, hey, Mark, can Ted send you his resume by fax back then?
Right.
I don't want to age us, but yes, we faxed it in on Sunday night, and we drove back Sunday night. He faxed his resume on
2002.
Monday, yeah, and on Tuesday morning he was invited up to interview. Now, this wasn't your normal interview. This interview started at 10 a.m. and it finished at around 6 p.m.
Wow.
They just
Lunch,
talked and
dinner, I think.
brainstormed and got to know each other, and it was just, again, one of those things that are destined to happen. So to give you the short, to kind of wrap it up now, he came home. He said, babe, I love this company. A couple of weeks later, he was offered the position as director of sales. I was pregnant with our first child.
Mhm.
He rolled his sleeves up and said, I'll see you in 3 weeks. And he went on the road.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful story. One thing that you said, Ted, going back a little bit, you and I have such a similar story, because a lot of my research was in Barnes and Noble. Not only, again, same thing, self-help, right? Lots of Tony Robbins stuff, lots of, you name it. I love that stuff, but was also in the nutrition section, sitting there reading a lot of these books, health and nutrition. That's where I got a lot of my education, because back then the internet didn't have all the stuff that it has now. And so I used to just sit there and read. And I was also, into bodybuilding and stuff like that. So I back in those days, but same thing, my nutrition was horrible. I lived on pizza. I lived on Chinese food,
Oh, yeah, that's it.
and I had the notion that I could out-exercise the nutrition piece, right? And you quickly learn that doesn't happen. So now here comes George with tissues hanging out of every pocket because there's allergies and there's bronchitis. And it was like clockwork. Every year I would get sick, and that cold would turn into bronchitis. And I'd be laid out for a week. I'd be off of work for a few days. The funny thing is, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, could be helping me. She would never get sick. She wouldn't get sick. I'd be there with everything, and she'd be helping me. Her immune system was like unbelievable. But it brings me back, because I had a similar journey in doing those things. And it's funny how life works. And you become, obviously, again, mainstream medicine as great as it is for acute care and emergency, it really doesn't help in the chronic phase of things.
Yeah.
And we end up having to be our own advocates, taking responsibility for health, and that's kind of what we all did. And products like yours can help support that. And it's funny because I followed the Vibrant Health product through the years.
Mm-hmm.
And I had seen it, and I had seen it in the stores, and and after a while I was like, I keep seeing this thing, and I would pick the bottle up and I look back and I was shocked at the amount of things that were in it. I was like, I've never seen a formula that had so many things in it. And I remember for me, I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to try it. And I took it, brought it home one day. And one of the first things I noticed about Vibrant Health products was the energy that I got. Because again, back then my energy was kind of up and down, and I was fixing things, but I wasn't where I wanted to be. But the energy it gave me was like ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that was the first thing. I was like, when you take a product, then you can immediately feel the difference.
Yeah.
That's when you know things are working, especially in a cellular level, mitochondrial level, those types of things.
Yeah.
So, and sure enough, I said, okay, you know what? And of course, I gave it to my wife. And matter of fact, and Paige, talking about what you were talking about as far as fitness, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and she has all of a sudden, not because of me, just got into fitness where now she goes to the gym. Mm-hmm. And she is like obsessed with it. She loves the feeling she gets after she leaves the gym. It's almost like that Zen for her,
Yeah.
And it reminds me of me in the old days. And then she comes home, and what does she do? She takes a packet of your Vibrant Health protein and puts it in her shaker bottle and drinks it up.
Yeah.
And she's into it. She's doing it, and I'm very proud of her because she's, with all the school and now almost college and all this stuff, but she's got to go to the gym. She's got to take her Vibrant Health. And she's into it, so it's just, it's amazing, but it's, I love the story. It's fantastic. And by the way, another thing about your company and your products is, the people who listen to the show and watch the show know that I'm very strict about the supplement brands that I work with or endorse. I mean, literally in the thousands of brands, it's pretty much like 3. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's because there's quality. It's quality for me. It's transparency. Okay. And it's the mission of the company. All those things have to jive for me when I work with a company. And that's your company, again, really fills that. As well for me. So again, it's fantastic. One of the things I wanted to ask you is because, I know eventually you purchase the company. How was that like? Because it's one thing, you're working for the company, you're obviously doing well in the company, things are going well on that side, and then to go from that to actually owning the company is completely, it's a whole different level. So what was that conversation like? Did you literally just jump in, or was there hesitation? So how did that work?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll begin this because I remember vividly being in the store with Paige one day. And this is, if you ever worked in retail, it is an arduous existence.
Right.
It is 7 days a week on your feet.
12 hours a day.
12 hours a day, dealing with customers, and then having your children at the same time adds another level of, difficulty. And I just remember being in exhaustion, I should say. But I remember being exhausted one day, and after a couple of years in the store, and I said to myself, looking at, because I was stocking the shelves, because we were selling products, I had to restock the shelves. And I was with the supplements, and I remember looking at Green Vibrance and Vibrant Health products that we were stocking and other brands. And I just said, man, it would be really cool being a business person like Paige and I. Just, she's a serial entrepreneur. I was a corporate guy, but I just said, man, it'd be great to make products like this.
To be on the other side.
To be on the other side, exactly.
That's what you said.
And I just said it. And I really didn't think anything outside of that.
Yeah.
We didn't plan anything, but just kind of put that thought out there. And then, having, the opportunity to work for Vibrant Health. And, after the first year of being, head of sales, And really, it wasn't anything special that I did, George, to be honest with you. I think that anyone in my position was passionate about it, came from a corporate environment where there was structure and sales goals and things of that nature, could have easily done what I had done. But we started growing, and we were growing rapidly. Because it was a great product. I mean,
Yeah.
the product just it spoke for itself. I mean, you've seen the label. It's a full
Yep.
disclosure label. It's the most comprehensive thing I've ever seen in my life. When I realized how long it took to put together, 16 weeks, I became more passionate about the brand. And I remember one day, the previous owner saying, God, I just wish we had one slow month so I can fill the coffers, because we were growing so fast, it was hard to replenish supply. And we're still dealing with it to this day. But that's okay. We're not complaining.
Right.
I remember him coming to me one day and saying, hey, Ted, maybe one day you and Paige will buy the company. Because you obviously you guys know what you're doing.
And George, the previous owner is what I would call like a mad scientist.
Yeah, he's
okay.
He was
brilliant.
Brilliant. All he cared about were these creating products that changed lives. That work.
Yeah.
On a cellular level, to your point earlier.
Exactly. Regardless of the cost to manufacture.
Yeah. And he came up with the idea of creating a product that was a powder delivery system, comprehensive, effective potencies, with a full disclosure label so you knew exactly what you were putting in your body.
Right.
And that product, Green Vibrance, started the superfood category. There was nothing like it in the marketplace.
Still nothing like it
before.
Yeah.
There are a lot of lookalikes now. A lot of powdered superfood brands have since sprouted up, no pun intended.
Sure.
But that he pioneered that, and his love really was more about, creating these exquisite formulas, finding, better ways to deliver potency, researching new ingredients that were going to effectively enhance the product.
Yeah.
He didn't really want to run the business. He didn't want to do the day-to-day.
Sure.
And so when Ted came around and he saw how Ted really was just a natural at it, enjoyed it, he saw the opportunity to get somebody, in the seat to build the brand while he remained in the background creating exceptional formulas. And so Ted came home one day and he said, Paige, he said, Mark wants to sell us the company. What should we do? I was like, hell yeah, giddy up, let's go.
Oh, nice.
I think I literally said that, George.
That's awesome.
What transpired after that was insanity for 2 years. So the offer was on the table in 2005. We went to the SBA for a loan. We had to get a loan for $2 million. We had to come to the table with $500,000. We both owned a home, so we refinanced both of those. Our families came in to help. My dad was into real estate, so he put 3 of his properties as collateral. Ted got a list from the bank of 185 conditions that needed to be remedied.
Like when you go to get your mortgage.
When you get your mortgage for your house.
Similar to that. It was like, is this you? Do you have to make a here? Is this, and all of that stuff. At the end of the day, we just whittled it down, and it took about 2 years. But that's more on the business side. But it took about 2 years, and one day we got approval, and we were able to move forward. Yeah. That was awesome.
Incredible. It really is it's one of those things where a person can buy a company, but let's say the product, the product's a moneymaker, but maybe I don't necessarily love the product, but I love the fact that I'm going to make a lot of money selling the product. But you actually had the passion for the product long before you owned the company.
Yeah,
so,
to be honest with you, I've been called a good salesperson. I've been called a bad salesperson. And I'm glad you brought that up because it really had to do with what I was selling. If I didn't believe in it, I was horrible at it.
Yeah.
Historically. bad.
Right. No, you're right.
Believing it, and I was passionate about it. It wasn't work to me. It was more about
Wasn't selling.
no, it
sharing.
wasn't. It was like I've been doing this before I even started working for the company. I was
Yeah.
telling everybody about it. I was that guy,
Yeah.
and it was okay because it's what I was passionate about then. It's what I'm passionate about now. I truly believe that nutritional supplements, the right ones, can be highly effective. Highly
Correct.
as taken alone or as an adjuvant therapy to pharmaceuticals or what have you. It doesn't matter. They are important. We are nutritionally deficient, and deficiencies lead to problems. It's been proven time and time again.
Yeah, and I want to get your thoughts on it because there are a lot of people out there, even some of the health gurus out there who will, many of them will say, you can get all your nutrition from your food. And, I want to get your thoughts on that because we know, how food is grown.
Yeah.
And, and it's a problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the U.S. Department of Agriculture has been publishing a handbook called Handbook Number 8 for the past 70, 80 years.
Mm.
And if you go to Handbook Number 8 and look at the year 1948, right? And then Handbook Number 8 in the year 1998, and you'll look at broccoli, and you'll look at selenium. Oh my God, broccoli's lost 52% of its selenium in 50 years. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that kind of nutritional loss in food crops, and that's because we are not rotating our crops properly.
Right.
We're basically feeding the masses. We, 80, I think it's roughly around 80% of all fruits and vegetables come from the San Joaquin Valley in California. Mm-hmm. And they're not only feeding the United States, they're feeding countries around the world. It's a business over farming, mm-hmm. and they're stripping the soils. And if you're planting the same thing in these soils over and over again, the nutritional deficiencies just keep happening within those plants and then happen within us. So, I agree to a certain degree that we are what we eat. And if you eat well and you eat lots of fruits and vegetables, you will be healthier.
Sure.
But, the fruits and vegetables that our grandparents grew up on and great-grandparents, we're not eating those.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely.
So supplementation is no longer optional, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's mandatory. I mean, when you look at society today, and you just mentioned that there are gurus that are stating that you can actually get all of your vitamins and your nutrients from food.
What levels?
Yeah, you could 50 years ago, but now we're finding out that only 12% of the American population is getting the daily recommended allowance. So you have to supplement. You have to turn to these powdered superfoods, whether it be ours or someone else's, to support a healthy diet. So if you're already doing these things, you're eating fruits, vegetables, salads, fish, getting your omegas, getting your selenium, your zinc, etc. from food, we can't sit around and just eat 24 hours a day. This is a very smart and convenient way to support a healthy diet and to get you to a place of optimal health.
Yeah, more servings.
Yes, and more. I mean, just in one scoop of green vibrance, you're getting 4.5 servings of fruits and vegetables.
It's incredible. A lot of people, and that's one of the things, especially with not only what you guys do and your products, but what I do on this show as well, is try to educate people that, a lot of the average person who doesn't really, who don't look at health as an important thing. They look at it as an expense. They look at it as, I got to spend an extra whatever per month or whatever it is to take a supplement, whether it's a multivitamin, whether it's a superfood like yours or whatever it is. But, what I say is, listen, you have to think long term, first of all. Okay, we're all getting older. And, you have to look at your diet. You have to think, things don't get easier when you get older. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand that, like you said, nutritional deficiencies are a huge thing. And again, I agree. It's no longer optional. You have to supplement. If that means spending a little bit more per month, and I get it. People's budgets are tight. I understand it. But to me, the way I look at it is, if I don't have my health, what do I have, right? Because at the end of the day, not only do I want to teach my daughter good health as well, but I want to pass that down generationally. I want her to pass the exercise and the nutrition down to her kids, and then go down that, because my parents did the best they could, but they weren't into health and nutrition. I had to learn this stuff on my own.
Sure.
And then say, okay, wait a minute. Hey, and then now I went to my daughter, and I kind of raised my daughter, not forcing her, but what she did see was an example. She saw us doing it every day.
Sure.
She saw us exercising every day. She saw us eating right every day. And now it's kicked in. And now she's like, Dad, I want to eat the salad. Dad, I want to exercise. Dad, I want to do these things. And that's a good recipe that she can take with her and eventually, again, pass that down generationally. And the other way I look at it is, when I get older, and hopefully I'm a grandfather one day, I'll be a grandfather that can pick up my grandkids and run around with them. Not have to worry about having a walker or a cane and arthritis and all these things. That's why I do these things, because it's about quality of life for me, and so I think that people really need to understand that when they look at supplements as an extra expense or superfoods as an extra expense. You have to, at the end of the day, look at, and again, it's comprehensive because it goes along with your exercise and just a healthy lifestyle. But you really have to look at it that way. And if you do, in my opinion, it'll change the way you look at it, and again, change the future generations going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I try to draw that analogy, and I have probably a myriad of analogies about health and wellness, but we all have cars, right? And if you take care of your car and you have it for 20, 30 years, there are people out there, believe it or not, that are driving cars that are that old. But if your car is that old and it's driving well, it's only because you took care of it.
Yep.
That's the only reason. It's
Absolutely.
not because you changed the oil or change the filters and if do all of these things. You did it, and the maintenance was consistent.
Right.
You wouldn't have it.
Exactly.
George, we are proof that our products work. I mean, we take them, we use them all the time, but we also raised our 2 children on Green Vibrant. So they got it in a smoothie as soon as they could use a sippy cup.
Wow.
They were drinking a smoothie with Green Vibrants. And I'm really proud to say that our kids didn't get ear infections. When all the other kids in school were sick, our kids did not get sick. They didn't get the common cold. And if they did catch something like some of these very contagious diseases, the duration was much shorter for our kids than their classmates. So
and it's part of their life now.
My point in bringing that up is that our daughter is in college now, and I would drill it into her head about working out and eating healthy,
boosting your immune system,
doing smoothies. And I go to her apartment off campus. First of all, she's in the gym every day. She spends 2 hours a day in the gym. It could be 9 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the morning. She goes without fail. She rests one day. And then she comes home and she makes a smoothie with spinach and some strawberries, scoop of powder, some almond milk, and a banana. And that is her routine. So I'm really encouraged that the generations are getting into health and wellness a lot younger.
Yes.
And that's also because of the advent of social media.
Exactly.
Social media has its benefits.
Yeah.
And these kids are
not many.
Vegetarian. They're doing superfoods. They're working out. They are doing mindful work.
Yep.
They're a step ahead. Like you just mentioned something before, which I thought was really profound, is that generation and these future generations are going to be in a much better place.
Yes.
We are going to be in a better place as compared to our parents.
Correct.
And we're passing that down. So we're doing some really good work for humanity
Absolutely.
and focusing on this.
Yeah, it's to me again it's my passion as well. I mean, I have a few passions in life. One of them being music. I'm also a musician, but my other passion is health, and it's just and again, you guys see it for yourselves as well when you're able to help yourself, and you're able to really support your health and make it better. It's like almost like a revelation. It's like, holy cow, if I can do this, anybody really can do this, and that's kind of like, you guys do it on a huge scale with your products and even your blogs and the stuff that you do on your website, which is great. I do it with this show. I want to try to reach as many people as possible. And it's a mission, it's a mission, and I one of the things I say is I try to get the world healthier one show at a time, and that type of thing. That's what we do, it's a fun mission, and I love it. I love every day of it. I wanted to ask you, because now Vibrant Health is mostly known for green vibrance and for the most part, but you've got so many other products, a lot of different flavors. My favorites, just so you know, of the green vibrance, I love the chocolate version. That's one of my favorite versions. Goes really well. I'm also a big fan of Spectrum Vibrance. And I love the antioxidant content is ridiculous. I mean, the ORAC score, I've never seen anything with an ORAC score that high. And I've looked at a lot of these things, and I have never seen that in my life. So that was one of the things I was like, okay, I got to pay attention to this thing because this is incredible. I take that as well. So I actually take both. I take the chocolate green vitamins, and I take also the Spectrum vitamins. Make sure, because let's say I'm on the go, I'm traveling or whatever, and I'm not, I don't particularly eat well that day, or I miss a meal or whatever. I know that I'm getting my servings of fruits and vegetables when I take the products, and that's what I love about it, because I don't miss, it's there no matter what, and I feel good. But in saying that, you guys have the latest product out, which is called Trilogy.
Yeah.
And there's a little picture of it here. And when I saw this, I was shocked, because I first of all, I said, okay, I got to ask them about this. I want to know how they pull this off, because
don't get started, George.
Yeah, because first of all, you guys know where I'm going to go with this, because so Trilogy, you have number one, it's capsules, but you got 3 things in it. It's a multivitamin, it's an omega-3, and it's a probiotic. Now, that combination in and of itself blows me away, but how did you what was the genius behind that, number one? And the other question, of course, is how in the world do you get an omega-3 in a capsule with all the other things when typically you'll see it in a gel or an oil or something like that? So how did you do that?
Yeah, so it was a vision of mine a little over 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. You look at a product like Green Vibrance, it has good nutrition, it's got a lot of antioxidants in there. It's a very colorful superfood. It's got the probiotics in there. So it has your vitamins and, and minerals and probiotics. I always wanted us to have an omega-3 in this formula. And you'll see a lot of other companies claim omega-3s in their products, but we're not talking DHA and EPA. Right. We're talking ALA. And I wanted to make sure that we were speaking truth to, these formulations. And the only way we can really do that is by getting actual omega-3s in there, DHA and EPA. So the problem was obvious, right? You can't mix an oil with a powder.
Right.
Just not going to work. So I was at a trade show one year. Again, we go to a lot of trade shows a year, the Expo East, Expo West, which is on the retail side. But I go to every single supply side show. It's supply side East and West, and there are also supply sides all over the world. And what you do is you go there and you meet with all of these raw material suppliers. Some are farmers, some are PhDs working in laboratories, some are fish farmers and things of that nature, and they come out with omega-3s. So throughout the years, I was looking at different capsule technology, and I saw one that was called Duo Cap. And it was a small capsule inside of a bigger capsule. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh my God, that's it. We can, maybe put the fish oil in the small or the probiotic or whatever. We can get the oil separate from the other stuff because the oil will make it not work. But it didn't really work because there was a patent on it, and I didn't want to get involved in it. And not only that, the inclusion wasn't the right amount for that small capsule. So we let it go for a while. And it was hopeful that powdered omega-3s that were coming on the market would become more stable. See, omega-3 fish oils in general, whether it's a fish oil or whether it's an algal-based oil that contains omega-3s, are very unstable. They go rancid very quickly, and that's why when you look at a fish oil bottle, it'll have an expiry of a year or no more. That's it.
True.
If you go back to it like 2 years later, you're like, oh, my fish oil's still good.
It's so cloudy.
It's not.
True.
So I said, you know what? Let's continue to do research on these powdered fish oils. And every year I noticed that as the years went by, they would start off with a year, and I'm like, we can't make a product for a year expiry. And then it was like 18 months, 1 year. And then another year was 2 years. And I'm like, wow, they're getting closer with the technology. And it was a few years ago that I found a company that got the expiry, a European company, that got the expiry up to 4 years. So they really nailed the technology on getting it stable. And what they did is they didn't use, and actually this is exciting because it's the best form of omega-3s you can take. So you have ethyl ester fish oil that you can use. You have a triglyceride version of a fish oil that you can use, or you can use a fish oil that's tied to lysine, which is a free fatty acid form. And it's the latter that actually is the best because it doesn't oxidize, it doesn't give you fish burps, it's 5 times more bioavailable, and you can get a longer shelf life. It is just, once you add lysine to it, that amino acid lysine, it's a game changer. It really is, and it does so much. And so once we found that material, it's not good enough palatability wise to add to a powder, but I knew it could work in the capsule, and voila, we have a trilogy.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a plant-based multi. It's extremely bioavailable because it's all plant-based. It's 20 billion CFUs from 12 strains in the probiotics, and it's a vegan version, which is algal, and then a fish oil version, which is fish oil, obviously.
Wow. Yeah. That goes perfectly with the mission on this show because it's basically the latest on health and nutrition. That literally is the latest as far as health and nutrition is, because again, that's not something I've seen. So, and when I saw that, I was like, yeah, this is a game changer in my opinion. Right? So
it's taken 10 years to develop, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow. That's fantastic. So I'm literally this week going to get a bottle of that and start that because, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
And just one other thing I wanted to ask you guys, just in general, you guys, obviously you talk the talk, you walk the walk, you do, live healthy lives and stuff. How, besides the powders and stuff, what do you do diet wise? Is there something you strictly follow, or do you just, is it just primarily plant based, or, just curious, how do you guys eat?
Well, I think we both believe that we didn't evolve as herbivores or carnivores. We evolved as omnivores. So even though our son is a complete vegetarian, Paige and I are mostly pescatarian. I'm probably more pescatarian than Paige is, but we follow more of a Mediterranean diet.
Okay.
I'd say we're probably 80-20, 80% veg, 20%.
Yeah. So
protein.
My diet consists of a smoothie in the morning with our products.
Right.
But I'm into intermittent fasting.
Okay.
That has been a game changer for me, George. I started that, I want to say maybe 4 years ago. And so typically, and I know this is not the traditional intermittent fasting, I don't really follow it to the letter, but I don't eat a meal until the afternoon.
Okay. Well, you'll have a smoothie.
Right. But I will have a smoothie with almond milk, right, and our powder, not always, but most days. And then I have lunch and dinner. Try to eat dinner no later than 5 or 6. Sometimes it's a little later. I stay away from carbs.
Yeah.
I don't eat any processed foods of any kind.
Right.
The only thing that I don't do that I know I should be doing is I don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
That's my,
Yeah.
that's my downfall.
Yeah, I think it's many downfall of many, not hydrating enough. But yeah, so my diet is very similar to Paige. I mean, obviously we spend most of our days together, but I don't. I'd say I probably don't eat breakfast a lot, but I
Mhm.
do eat it every now and then. Three meals a day at my age, I just don't do it as much anymore. It's usually lunch and dinner, smoothie in the morning, so it's very similar.
Yep.
But I stopped eating. Well, I shouldn't say I stopped eating, but I've really cut down on my meat consumption. I don't really eat red meat or pork. I will eat fish mostly, and I do eat chicken sparingly. And on Thanksgiving, I always have turkey.
Absolutely.
That's the only time I have it, though.
I hear you. I hear you. Again, very similar to me. I've talked about it on the show a lot, but I'm kind of 80-20. I'm 80 plant based, for the most part. Stay, do my best to stay away from anything processed. 20%, lean chicken, salmon, the
Yep.
wild caught salmon, stuff like
Yep.
that. Maybe some turkey, stuff like that. But that's pretty much. Now I do eat 3 meals. For me, breakfast is my favorite meal.
Yeah.
Okay. The good thing for me is that my wife will always hates this about me is that I have such a fast metabolism even at my age. I've always been a thin guy, so I never if I had any weight it'd be at the gut, but that's about it. But everything else would be thin, So. But yeah, I do eat, but what I do eat is I make sure that I space my meals out. So, I probably get maybe 5 to 6 hours between each meal, but I'll have three meals a day, and that's it. I grew up on breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's how I eat till this day. I've never been one to eat like every do 6 or 7 meals a day. I actually don't believe in that. I think that's metabolic disaster in my opinion. But it works for me, and at the end of the day, I've always said on the show, you train your body, and your body will adapt to the way you eat eventually, right? And you train your body in terms of your body will get hungry at those certain times when it's used to you eating, and it's just like those people that eat constant, then they're never full. They're constantly hungry. Well, my cousin was telling me about this because I told him, he does similar to like what you do. He doesn't eat breakfast until like 11 or 12. Or that's his first meal.
Yeah.
And he told me, he said, George, my energy is through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, and my stomach has gone down. I'm feeling so good. And I said, it's a simple concept, but it works. It really, really works because you're giving your body time to detox, to clean out, to do what it needs to do, and it's very interesting. But yeah, I'm very similar to that. You guys have kind of a same way, same thought process that I do in terms of that type of stuff, but it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's, yeah, so I want to make sure, okay, first of all, I want to give this website for my listeners and watchers as well. If they can go to vibranthealth.com/counterparts. Now, Counterparts is the parent company to this show, and they can check out all the products. They can also get discounts as listeners and viewers of this show. So make sure you check out Vibrant Health products. Again, I talk about it on this show all the time, and make sure you take advantage of that because not only does the website have the products and stuff like that, you could also get it at your nearest retailers, but also you guys have some great blogs on your website. You really have some good information on there. So I encourage everybody to go on the website, check those out as well. And I really want to thank you guys, Paige and Ted, for really being on the show and just for talking about the company, for having great products, and for just having an unbelievable, mission to keep people healthy. I really, really appreciate you being on with us.
Yeah,
thank you, George. It was our pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Absolutely. Hold on one second. All right, guys. So fantastic conversation with Paige and Ted. I really, again, make sure you guys check out Vibrant Health Products. Just they're a game changer. And check out Trilogy, because I'm going to check that out. I definitely am getting my products this week, and I encourage you guys to check them out as well. So thank you very much, as always, for listening to the show. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves. Make sure you take care of each other. And as always, control your health. Have a great week.